Nucleolus. This is the thing that produces ribosomes inside of the cell.
What's a ribosome?
It is
I
another
don't know.
thing.
What's a ribosome with you?
It produces proteins. It is produced in the rough ER, or endoplasmic reticulum.
The endoplasmic rectulum?
I think it's rectum. Big words.
Rectulum?
I don't think so.
That's unfortunate. Reticulum?
Maybe, I don't know.
Okay, well,
I'm not paying
maybe
enough.
look it up. They don't pay you enough.
Yeah. Actually, I don't like how thin that blue is right there. So I'm just gonna give a little splotchy. Perfect. Okay, so now we have our wonderful nucleus done. We have to get the rough endoplasmic thingy and then the smooth.
You're gonna have to figure out the name for that. It's okay.
I've always known it as ER because that's how Mr. Easter does it. So this one is the same color for both because they are extremely similar. The only difference is that they produce different things and how they look, which I guess makes them very different. But they are in this around the same place of the cell, made up of the same things. They just have different jobs.
Cool.
Like a family. One is smooth, one is rough because one is covered with ribosomes, which are producing the little black splotch right there.
Mm.
And one is smooth because it doesn't produce proteins. And ribosomes form proteins.
Have a seat, you'll learn a lot.
So this is going to be that. Another little fine point. There we go. It was larger than I wanted, but I'll leave it.
Test it on the plate.
Yep. You work it down there first.
Can you close that door for me, Codes?
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay, so what is this part?
This is the rough and smooth ER. They're just outside the nucleus. They're kind of folded a little bit. And they produce either fats or ribosome, or help ribosomes produce protein. Making these two very, very important parts of the cell because they give your body food or the energy so you can actually, live. Every single dairy product you eat, every single piece of meat you eat gets processed by these parts of the body.
And they're all within the cell?
Yep. Because they produce things for the cells. And the reason your body exists is because of cells. You are one living, unique organism with tiny little living things inside of you that aren't quite living, but they exist and need to survive so you can then survive too.
Pretty cool, huh, Cody?
Cells.
Yeah.
So we have one endoplasmic reticulum. This is going to be our rough ER, and I'm going to put some nerds on it because those are our ribosomes. Then we're making the smooth ER. That is a whole different thing. That's the one that does fats, and the rough ER does proteins because of the ribosomes, which are really big for protein production and whatnot. So two very, very important organelles inside of the cell. That's why they're called organelles, because they aren't full organs like a heart or a lung. But they are, if a cell were human sized and a living, breathing thing, it would have these for its organs. Dropped a little bit of frosting there. So on the fact of ribosomes, pop open the ribosomes. I think that's all the frosting we're going to need. Yes, it is. We're going to get our little...
What about the pink? I thought you got pink.
I overcalculated, so that's for Nora now.
Oh, okay, cool.
So we're going to get our nerds.
And what are these?
Ribosomes.
Oh, right.
And we're going to make our rough ER and our smooth ER actually rough and smooth. Okay, he's inside the nucleus. Do we have tweezers or something? Do we have something to get that out? Because I've...
Go get those, the little toaster tongs.
It isn't over. Oh, there. Because I've got very, very big hands, and I don't want to screw this up here. Now this is a third-class lever.
Stick to biology, kid.
Biology is more fun than physics, in my opinion. My dad came in, he'd be like, "Oh, I did enjoy physics though. Learn about how all sound waves work and whatnot, which I learned in 8th grade year, while teaching myself everything."
Thumbs up if you're learning.
So you see how these little ribosomes are propping up and it looks rough?
Yeah.
It's because it's a rough ER. And the smooth one has nothing on it because it can produce all the lipids just by itself and process the lipids that you eat. It's even better because sometimes you consume other animal cells to get yourself the energy. I mean, if you eat bacon, you're consuming pig cells. And making your...
Does that mean that then we're made up of pig cells also? Like you are what you eat?
No.
How come?
Because their cells are constructed different from human cells. And your body digests them in the stomach. The stomach acid breaks them all down.
Oh, okay. Good. I would
But that
probably
takes
never
away the
eat.
nutrients.
I'd probably never eat bacon.
Okay. So, we've done our ribosomes and our endoplasmic R's, I forgot what the R is, and our nucleus. We now have to do our microtubules and centrioles. Now these are actually my favorite part of the cell because they're what give the cell structure. So what we're going to do is we're going to get our kitchen shears.
What are these called?
Centrioles and microtubules.
And they give structure. They give structure. Did you hear that, Cody?
And what you're going to do...
If anyone asks what your brother's favorite part of the cell is. The centrals and the... Yes, very good. Microtubules.
And the mitochondria. I really like the mitochondria, but that's also everyone's favorite part of the cell because everyone remembers what it actually is. It's a part
I wonder if they'd ever come up with a Lego set that was a cell. Because
I would...
You could have made a Lego cell. That would have been cool.
Yeah, but I don't have that attention span to actually find all the necessary Legos.
Oh, I think you probably would, but
I
anyway.
was hoping for a Twizzler I could take apart a little bit better. But I think this
You
will
would
be-
just do like a blood
So here's a microtubule,
cell and yeah.
and it's just going to get plunked down. Now, you see, there's a difference between plant cells and animal cells.
We got another learner here. Mike is explaining it all to us. Don't get your hair in the glue.
Plant cells work with a cell wall and chloroplast, which give it the pigment chlorophyll, which is what gives them the color green. Animal cells, which humans have, do not have those, or else we'd be green. And we also don't have a cell wall, because if we had a cell wall, we'd walk around very rigid, because our cells couldn't move around freely. But without the cell wall and just having a cell membrane, which is the green icing, the human body can freely move any way it would like. Same with any other animal. It's the reason you can bend your knees and whatnot, because your body is made to move. When plants don't need to move as much, they can get all their nutrients just from sitting still. So we've got our microtubules in. Now we got to get our centrioles. Now they're almost the same thing because centrioles are just groups of microtubules. They're really strong. They're more common in the cell. They're bigger, but they're just as important as the little microtubules. And they're the reason that our cells are round and allow our cell, because if they didn't have them, it'd just shrivel up and everything would be jam-packed together. So which isn't good. We don't want that. So now that we have our cell structure and our cell body done and our nuclear area, we now need to do our energy and waste management part of the cell, which is the mitochondria.
I thought they were called Mike and Ike's.
Oh, I'm using Micah and Ike's.
May I have
Yes, you may. You get the black licorice kind.
Learning a lot, huh? I'll take the black licorice. I like black licorice.
And you can have the pink one. It's a berry
I'll
blast
take a-
one.
And what are these? What are these called? What part of the cell?
Mitochondria.
Mitochondria.
And
You
these
say it.
are
Mitochondria.
Mitochondria.
What's it called?
Mitochondria.
mitochondria is important because it is the powerhouse of the cell. All the energy that your cell has and all the energy that you have comes from the mitochondria. And want to know what's even cooler about the mitochondria? Is it is its own independent cell-ish. So how we think the body adopted the mitochondria because it reproduces by itself, it destroys itself when it's old and not functioning anymore, which no other cell does. So what we thought happened was that one day a cell, a human or an animal, or not a human, probably an early animal cell, was in the primordial soup.
The what?
The primordial soup, which is a science term of all the cells before they really started to form animals. They were used to
Soup or soup?
soup. They were their bacterium and acids and all the things while the earth was forming. There was probably an early eukaryotic cell, which means it has a nucleus inside of it, that found this little thing and tried to eat it. Then realized, hey, this is helpful, and kept it. And that's why the mitochondria can reproduce by itself and doesn't need a mitosis. Now we are adding the these will be our lysosomes. Now lysosomes are, yes, the M&Ms are
Made of chocolate?
No.
Lysosomes. Wouldn't it be great if
Made
they?
of
I
chocolate?
know. I might be.
Lysosomes are
Do you want us to sample the lysosome too?
no, because I'm going to place this one.
Okay.
The lysosome digests old cell parts. It is the waste management. Oh, and another thing about the smoothie R, I forgot this. It is the detoxifier. Something dangerous gets to the cell membrane, and it might be poisonous to the cell. It goes straight to the cell moves it straight to the smoothie R, and that processes it. Healthy.
Cool.
No risk. Now we're adding the ribosomes. These guys are fun. They're the smallest organelle in the cell, and they are on the rough ER.
Why are you putting it not on the rough ER then?
Because they also have to float around the cell.
Oh, got
Because
it.
they are the henchmen, somewhat, of the nucleus.
Okay.
They carry out what the nucleus wants the cell to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because how is it supposed to send a message to the mitochondria that, hey, we need more energy?
Right.
So, all they do...
Is this what it looks like inside the body?
I wish.
Yeah.
It is kind of what we look like, but
But it
without
is-
the candy, right?
It is very
Probably
jam-
me.
No.
Probably what I look like with all
You're
the
just a
candy.
bunch of dead cells.
Hey. Wow.
So what these do is they are made in the nucleolus, which is the little black splotch, that are moved out to the rough ER to help it make proteins, or amino acids, which aren't quite proteins, but they make up proteins. Then the ribosomes eventually form a chain with each other and become protein. They're all amino acids, and they form proteins. And they also will carry out what the nucleus wants the whole entire cell to do. Because the nucleus is this one organelle that tells the whole cell everything that needs to be done. So now that we've got our ribosomes and lysosomes done, we've got to crack out the fruit roll-ups. And these are the Golgi apparatus, which is my favorite cell to say.
Golgi apparatus.
Yes, and this is the United Postal Service. These ship everything. If let's say the cell notices that a mitochondria is dead, what it will do is it will have the ribosomes move it to the Golgi body. Then the Golgi body will move it to the vacuoles, or not the vacuoles, the lysosomes to digest. And the Golgi body looks like a pancake. It is, well, it doesn't look like a pancake, but it is all twisted up and it is stacked onto each other.
Like a log cabin?
Yeah. or like a stack of pancakes.
Oh, I see.
Oh,
But they're rolled like
Yep. And it's another really large organelle, so we're gonna have to cover up one of our ribosomes because I didn't account for the amount of space that the things would take up. We still have a whole other thing to add, the vacuoles, but they're Skittles, so they aren't that big. But Golgi body and Golgi apparatus are very similar. They are in the same area of the cell. Are very, very important, along with everything else. But without them, function inside the cell would be practically impossible. Because how are things supposed to move from one place to another? So now that we have our wonderful little Golgi, and they will form little bubbles around themselves. Those are the Golgi bodies. And they're there, and they're what actually transport the things. They surround the thing that needs to be transported, and then they move through the cytoplasm. So now that we have our little Golgi body done, last but
You
not
sure you don't want this to just be your birthday cake for Wednesday?
I might actually just make this a birthday cake for myself.
You
For
want to do
myself.
purple flowers.
Okay. I'll make you.
I'll make a plant cell, Nora.
No, I told Mom she can choose the flavor and like what's on it, but all I want is purple flowers.
We'll just do a purple flower under 100 times microscope, and we'll see.
And it'll look like that. It is a purple flower, Nora.
Actually, it'll be.
That's not how I want my 12th birthday.
We are just.
Actually, this isn't a purple flower. This is an animal cell. You need a plant cell, which is square.
Purple flower.
Did you choose which cell you made for this project?
Yes.
You totally should have done a square.
You should have done a
It would have
giraffe.
been easier. Well, this is an animal cell, which is giraffes have animal cells, Nora,
Oh, okay.
because
So
they
they're all
are
the same.
an animal. Yes, they all
Oh,
the
so
same
they're all the
thing.
same. So that's what the same something.
Plant cells have two more organelles than the animal cell. The cell wall, which gives it rigid structure because plants don't need to move, and chloroplasts, which are little discs stacked up on top of each other.
I missed
with
what kind of candy this was.
Skittles.
Oh.
And the chloroplasts conduct photosynthesis, allowing the cell to actually have energy or be able to produce sugars for the plant. Another thing about vacuoles, which is what I'm placing now, they are storage. They will hold everything, and they are very important. And also, the thing with plant cells is they have a vacuole that takes up 90% of the cell. It is the largest organelle in a plant cell because plants don't get water all the time because they can't move. If they're in a dry area, they need to store that water somehow. When humans, I could simply just walk.
And we're impressed that you can walk right now. I'm very grateful for that.
You don't even have your brace on.
And now my cells have water, which is why everyone should be drinking water as much as they can, so their cells are healthy. But because plants can't move to get water, they have to wait for their roots to find some. They need to store as much as they can. So the little vacuoles in the human body, which just store everything that needs to be stored, is huge, and they have one, and it's massive. And you would like even just looking through we looked at an onion cell under a microscope, and you could see the vacuole. We found a plant cell that didn't have a big vacuole because it was a non-vascular plant and lived in water, completely submerged. So it always had water. So it had a normal size vacuole. And we couldn't see it because our microscope wasn't strong enough to see it. We can only see cell wall, nucleus, chloroplast, and vacuole because they're big.
So what else?
Nothing.
That's it?
This is a full animal cell.
Wow.
And now all this is my Halloween candy because I'm not trick-or-treating.
Thank you, Micah. Thank you, Micah, for sharing that with me. That was with us. That was interesting. What'd you think, Nora and Cody?
That I wanted to eat all the candy.
Thanks, Micah.
Me too. That's what I was thinking.